Hello and welcome to the Maths Guide, and today we're going to be looking at rounding, and we're going to be looking at the idea of significant figures. So let's go back and have a look at what we were talking about rounding previously. When we were talking about a kilometre, we could see the picture there of the kilometre. You could include a Gateway Arch and a couple of the pyramids of Giza. You could include a couple of Titanics, and maybe a couple of times the height of an Eiffel Tower would be the range of a kilometre. So the idea that we were talking about previously is that if you're talking about things the size of a kilometre, there's no point talking about things that are the size of a head of a pin. So at a larger scale, we're going to look at where's our nearest star, Proxima Centauri, and that is, if you can read that, is 40,208,000,000,000 kilometres away. So that's at a very, very large scale. So at that scale, there'd be absolutely no point about talking about meters or even kilometers or even tens or hundreds of kilometers. So we're looking at very large and even larger numbers. Why am I talking about that? Okay, first of all, we were looking at Proxima Centauri, which is about 40 trillion kilometers away if we round to the nearest trillion, or 40,208 billion kilometers if we round to the nearest billion. So that's a really, really large number. What about just a very large number? If we wanted to talk about the distance to our own sun, that's 147,390,000 kilometers away. That's quite an accurate number. But if we wanted to talk about both things and we said we should round to the nearest billion, then to the nearest billion kilometers, the distance to our sun would be 0 kilometers. So that's not very useful. So what kind of rounding are we talking about? Let's go back to the point of the rounding. The point of the rounding was, it's pointless talking about the size of a pin when you're talking about measuring kilometers. So what we're interested in is the most important digits. We're interested in the kilometers if we're talking about kilometers, and we're going to ignore things like millimeters if we're talking about that kind of point. So it's the most important digits, the most important figures that we're interested in, and it's these figures which make up most of what we're looking at. So if you're interested in 99.9% of the size of the Eiffel Tower, you don't need to know about millimeters or micrometers. So significant figures is a way of saying the most important digits. So if we wanted to include at least 90% of what we are looking at, we need two significant figures or digits. So if we want to talk about at least 90% of the height of the specific height of a person, a man, you might say they're 1.7 meters tall. Notice that we've used two digits here, the digit 1 and the digit 7. Those are the two important digits, 1.7 meters. The width of a human hair might be 0.000075 meters. But again, we're only looking at two important digits. The zeros are important for placing where those digits are, but the important digits are the 7 and the 5. So we're including at least 90% of what we're looking at when we've got two significant figures. The significant or important figures are the 7 and the 5 there. What if we wanted to include at least 99% of what we're looking at? Then we'd need three digits. So again, 1.76 meters for the man, using three digits, the 1, the 7 and the 6. And the width of a human hair might be 77.2 microns. So the important digits are the 7, the 7 and the 2. If we were rounding to one decimal place, we would get even two decimal places, we would get 1.76. But for the human hair, we just get 0. So this is why it's important to start using significant figures. We're looking at getting most of the information that we want, rather than just rounding it to something specific. So when you're talking about the human hair, the important digits are tiny. When you're talking about a human being, the important digits are about a meter. Okay, back to the stars. So to include at least 99.9% of the distance, we're going to be using four significant figures. So that's almost all, as much as we really need to know about the distance. We'll be using four significant figures. So again, let's have a look at the numbers. The numbers are 4, 0, 2, 0, 8, followed by a string of zeros. We want the four most important numbers. The first most important number is the 4. The next most important number is a 0. Then a 2, and then the next digit. So the question we need to know then is, should I say 4020 or should I say 4021? And because the next digit was an 8, we round up. So we round to the least important digits, to the fourth significant figure there. So we get 40,210,000,000,000 kilometers. What about the sun? Again, we're going to have 4 significant figures: the 1, the 4, the 7, and the 3. But the 3 gets rounded up to a 4. So we have a 1, a 4, a 7, and a 4 for 147,400,000 kilometers. Okay, so significant figures are just the most important numbers that are there to make sure that we include at least 90 or 99 or 99% of what we're looking at. If you rounded just to 2 decimal places, as we saw previously here, the width of a human hair would get 0, and that wouldn't include any amount of what we're interested in. So if we want to include a large proportion of what we're interested in, we use significant figures, and that gives us that really gives us what we want in general. Okay, so we're just counting the most important digits. You put the most important digits. Again, here you have to put them in the right place. You have to pack out all the zeros if you need. You have to follow it by all the zeros to make sure that the important digits, the 4, 0, 2, 1, and 2 and the 1, are in the right places with the billions of, to make sure that they look like 40,210,000,000,000. And the width of a human hair, the 7, and the 2, need to also be in exactly the right place so that it represents 0.0000772 meters. But you're only using 3 important digits. But have a go at the questions, and I'm sure it will make sense, and the automatic feedback will make sure you keep on track. So good luck.